Hi there to the DoubleGDP community. This is Jay, and I'm going to give an update for this week, this past week's sprint, as is related to customers and market. And it's a really exciting time for us right now because what we're doing is we're preparing for a field research visit to Zambia that starts next week. So really, all of the work the last 2 weeks on the customer side, the most important updates on the customer side have been about getting ready to set up for that research. There actually have been a couple other really interesting inbounds and conversations around customer development with new potential customers, both one in Nigeria and another one who is a property developer across many different locations in Africa. Um, uh, so that's really exciting too. But what I'd like to focus our conversation or update on here is actually some of the more details around setting up for that field research that we're going to do in Nkwashi just starting next weekend. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen here just to show a little bit about what we're really prepping for. The research visit begins basically in the middle of next week, so next Wednesday, and runs for about a week and a half across almost the majority of that in Lusaka, and outside of Lusaka in the satellite city of Nkwashi, which we're building this software for, and then also a little bit in Johannesburg in South Africa on the back end. The overall goals for that research are the ones that I've kind of like walked you through in the past, so I won't not dive into that too deeply. But I did want to show a little bit about some of the ways that the overall like types of questions that we've been developing to go kind of like learn more about have developed. So there are really, if you think about it, like two different populations of customers or users that we need to learn a lot from here. One is on the administrative side, and so really all of the pieces of software that we'll build for cities like Nkwashi have administrator users. So these are people who are kind of like running these new towns and leading various different functions to make the towns work well. So we're going to spend a whole bunch of time with that set of customers, really trying to understand what it is they're trying to achieve and how their roles and standard operating procedures work today, so that we can make some really big supports to that with the software that we built. And we're going to spend basically, some significant amount of time with each of the different functions of the Nkwashi administrative team while we're out there. So that'll be spending time with their customer care group. That'll be spending time with their communications team, with their finance team, and finally with their kind of like site operations team, where they're actually doing the building of the real estate and the property. And in each of those cases, we're going to dive into what those individual leaders are doing in terms of their key roles, right? Like, what does a typical day look like for them? And really spend a lot of time getting to understand the most important tools and processes that they're using to deliver on Nkwashi's promise to its residents right now. Whether that means the way that they collect payments and manage their accounts, whether it means the way that they are communicating with their paying clients and their residents about challenges that they're running into, and really trying to kind of like hold on to that customer experience in a good way. We're going to dig into those processes and make sure that we understand how it works today really well, so that as our future software solutions come out, we can make a concerted effort to fit into their standard operating procedures, while also finding ways to use software to make it more efficient, more repeatable, more accountable, et cetera. So that's one set of the research that we're going to be doing out there. The other set really has to do with the paying clients and future residents of the new town. And in that case, in addition to seeing our kind of software out there being used by these folks, we're going to do some deeper research in terms of understanding the needs and mindsets and values of that population, the people who are kind of like the first pioneering residents of Nkwashi. So we have questions that have to do with things like why people are moving to a new town. What do they think it's going to be like to move to a new city, and who they're moving with, and how they intend to stay connected to the rest of their families and communities as they make that major move in their life. Ask a lot of questions about, from their perspective, what do they think makes a well-run city? You know, we've built a bunch of hypotheses as to the value propositions that our software might be able to contribute to a city like Nkwashi. We want to hear from the future residents of the town itself, how they connect with some of those types of things. So what do efficiency and accountability and responsiveness mean to this population? Most importantly, we're really trying to understand what are these future residents of the new town value? What's most important to them? What does home mean? What does community mean? What do safety and transparency mean in their lives right now? And what types of expectations are they going to have for the community kind of going forward? And then other things like, what does it take to make a community or a town feel safe and secure? And what types of technologies are they using today? What role does technology play in their life? And how might we be able to make sure that we're kind of contributing towards that as we bring our software solutions into these new towns. And so that's the two different types of research that are going to be going on when we're out in Nkwashi. Just to give you a little bit of an overview of what the trip actually looks like, we've got a work plan here that we'll share, and you can flip through as you will. The work plan basically breaks out. There's a little key down here to across dates, right? Like, so from the middle of next week through the end of the following week, and then the key at the bottom basically lays out where and what type of research are we going to be doing. Are we going to be spending time in the kind of the headquarters office in Lusaka of the management company? We're going to be spending some time on the property of Nkwashi, getting to see how that's developing and how our software will play out there. We'll spend some time in the showroom of Nkwashi, which is in Lusaka, where they're trying to recruit new potential residents and share the value of this community to those folks. We're also going to be doing in-home interviews with some of these future residents, as well as some wide research, just trying to understand what is the community of Lusaka like, what are the various different towns and suburbs around there like, and what is life like there. The first couple of days were really kind of like getting on the ground and getting to stay pretty connected in with the team. On Thursday, we'll do our first major visit to the site and do some one-on-one interviews with both the kind of site operations lead as well as the security team there, so that when we go back the next day, we'll be able to actually kind of like do the rollout of some of our software services, train some of the security team up on how to use that software using some phones that we're going to bring, and then basically shadow them as they're trying to use it. We want to be able to use the context that we learn from them on the first day, on Thursday, to help sort of like tap the what's in it for them, the with them of these folks as we share with them some of the solutions that we're bringing out. It's basically our intention to do a lot of observation of just how that goes. We're going to then go back into Lusaka and spend some time in the headquarters of Nkwashi and doing a co-design session with the administrative team about future services. And then finally, over the weekend, we're going to basically go back to the site. Right? We'll spend some time observing how the software is working, either in the showroom where they're introducing new potential residents to the site and basically setting them up to be able to go through the gate there, or at an Nkwashi site where they're using our software to basically get through the gate. As the week moves on, we'll kind of like split much of our efforts, and Nolan's going to be spending a lot more time sort of rolling out the features of the application, potentially additional features as the week goes on. And I'm going to shift a little bit more of my time to doing some wider research with the future potential residents of Nkwashi. We're actually going to bring out another design researcher who I've worked with in the past to help kind of like augment that and allow us to really kind of dig deep with the population that we have there. We think we're probably going to do another big co-design session with potential future customers of Nkwashi on Tuesday afternoon as well. We'll do that out of the headquarters of the ZIG, who is a new partner of ours. While also making sure that after everything that we learn, either on Nkwashi's site in terms of the use of our software solutions, or in the wider kind of like in-home interviews that we're doing with future residents, we're going to bring all those findings and observations back together with the Nkwashi team at their headquarters and debrief, right? Like, what did we learn? What are the most important things that we saw? What are the top feature requests that are kind of coming out of that? And therefore, what should we kind of like be making changes to, either on the front end of our application or on our roadmap? We wrap up the trip basically the Lusaka time of our trip on Wednesday, and then Thursday we travel to Johannesburg, where we're going to do a couple meetings and some site visits around there before kind of like basically enjoying the weekend more broadly in Africa. So that's a little bit of an update of what's going on the customer side for our work here at DoubleGDP. Really big research sprint kicking off next week, and that's going to be very much the focus of our effort for the next for the next design sprint too. So that's it. This is Jay signing off. Thanks very much for your time.